Greetings all, BWS2K here again with our next and probably final, at least for a little while anyway, entry into the Mythical Marrow Recollection series. You can see we've got 6 XP there, but we haven't really spent it, and I'm not sure if it's worth spending it, and we may revisit the series, which is kind of something I say every time. I promise I do intend to revisit things when I say it. But we are going to hop right into the Mythic page. I updated the list, so we've got Cold Heart, Deathlock, and Snow Tunnels. Maybe we'll encounter them again some other time. In the character list, and then the I put Resistance Haps in the thread list because we talked about the Resistance last time with the destruction of their base in Canada, or one of their forward bases in Canada. So they're kind of like on the radar now. So setting up the scene, what I wrote is, after a nice snowy cutaway, the last scene, right? I know I need to get back to Marrow and the Morlocks with the capital X at the end, which is absolutely what they would title the series, even if that's not what they call themselves, because I think I can see Morlocks with an X as like on the top of the issue pages, like the title page of the, or on the cover page rather, when you buy it. And then over in the corner is like Marrow and a bunch of unknown Morlocks that she's like recently helped and stuff. Anyway, so I know I need to get back to there, but I don't have any idea what to do with them. And I genuinely don't. My original plan was to have Marrow going around sort of on a venge quest, collecting all these different artifacts. And it kind of morphed over time a little bit into rescuing the Morlocks, which isn't to say that the other stuff doesn't happen, but there's sort of a team effort now. So making new members basically drained all my energies and all my muses, which is probably not a great idea to pursue that original idea when I'm already low on muse inspiration. But maybe Marrow is out patrolling and she happens upon something. Maybe it's signs or word of the resistance, since we introduced that. But we need action, and so perhaps she intervenes in a raid or an apartment building or something and fights uniformed Sentinel forces. Sure. So a lot of the times, and I've mentioned this before, but it's always worth noting because I know new people see the videos and they don't always know what's going on. A lot of the stuff that I type it's basically stream of consciousness. Like, I'm not putting a lot of thought into my notes, and to some degree it is refined and edited after the fact a little bit, but largely it's not. And it's important to me because if you're going to watch the video, this is the best part for me, is having an idea and then seeing how it changes through the Mythic GME / writing process. And I think it's important to accept that your original ideas may not end up being executed the way that you were planning, and sometimes that can be a good thing. So I really kind of embrace that spirit. So I'm completely transparent about what's going on in my mind about my prep and this whole process. So I ended up with modifying the scene, and of course, when it's an altered scene, the question is, what's the next most logical thing to happen? So I had kind of posited that she would be out on patrol and then intervenes in some sort of situation. And now that's being altered. So what is the next most logical thing to happen? So I planned to have this to connect to the resistance. So maybe we cut out the middleman and we just have her intervene in a battle between dwindling resistance members and Sentinel forces. And then I'm like, but this still doesn't feel it. And then I was like, oh, let's do it at the mansion, like in the ruins of the mansion, right? Just kind of tie things together. So she travels down Eternity's Gutter, which is, if you watch my Marrow series, you know that's the name of the passage from the alley to the mansion. And I'm not super certain if it comes out near the mansion or if it literally connects into the mansion. I think you could probably find evidence either way in the comics, but I don't know that it's not worth like looking up because it's going to change anyway. But like over time, different authors are going to do what they want. But I think you could make the case that it leads directly into the mansion, but also that it maybe just comes up outside on the grounds somewhere. And that's kind of where I'm going with it, is that it doesn't lead directly, at least the passage that she takes doesn't go directly into the mansion. But that this idea begins to interact with the thread that we have about learning about the past, in quotes. So maybe she can find evidence of what happened to her on this timeline. And she'll be finding evidence of what happened to her because she was unconscious, and then she wakes up kind of in a haze and fights the Sentinels, right? Like in our series. But also for us, the reader, to know what the backstory is. So I had one fake question. I don't often have fake questions, but I had one fake question I thought was worth asking. So she's stumbling upon this battle, and the question was, are the resistance losing this exchange? And if the answer was no, then she would find Sentinel forces preparing for a counterattack. So there's still going to be a battle either way. But and I think that's important too when you're asking fake questions. Understand what both the yes and the no are going to be before you ask the question. Otherwise, or if it is that sort of a critical thing, like in this instance, I could have asked a follow-up question to help clarify the answer, which is fine. But if you're not looking to do that sort of thing, having already an idea of if it's not, at least it's helpful for me, maybe I should say. But the answer was exceptional yes. Are the resistance losing this exchange? Exceptional yes. Wow, okay, maybe she arrives just in time to exchange words with a fading member who passes along a code word or something, and the Sentinels are sweeping the area. And then, of course, in orange, I left this, this is sort of an artifact of my original thinking, but it's always nice to, like, have it there so that when I'm thinking and planning and processing, I can look at that and be like, oh, we wanted to include this here, or I wanted to put, I had this idea about you could maybe use the collars to, like, reverse engineer them, and then they're like cloaking devices or something. I don't know. But it's there. All the ideas are there. So what I ended up doing, we've reset the Doom pool, right? We have two scene distinctions: X ruins at midnight, and then hazy aftermath, which of course is the aftermath of the battle. So I'm going to read this, and I'm actually going to, I just had some ideas a couple minutes ago that I'm going to try to sprinkle in here as we're playing. But I'll read you what I have written as a sort of prologue. So emerging from Eternity's gutter, only a few hundred meters from the mansion. So I'm going to stop right there. And I think actually what I would like to have happen is, as she is traveling through, I'm big on montages, and I think that might just be the way I have, the way I do mind, what is it called? Theater of the mind. The way I kind of do that, and then also like storytelling, and, there's real life time, there's sometimes weeks between my videos. So it's like, all these ideas, and a montage is sort of an easy way to convey a lot of information succinctly. It's not always the best way, but I have this idea that as she's traveling down Eternity's gutter, I think she should see signs of combat, maybe some bones, broken sentinel parts. I think the trash and the detritus that is in this passageway, which is probably, kilometers, plural, long, I think it should indicate, and maybe there's even like some collapsing, maybe there's like holes into it at different parts. But just signs of, we are visually seeing the sort of passage of time in a sense, right? Like we're seeing the effect that because this is a bleak dystopian future. And I think we want to be seeing that as we're passing through the gutter, heading into the X-Men or into the X-Mansion. So that would be kind of like the opening shots, so to speak, of the comic. But as she comes out, she's a few hundred meters away from the mansion proper, so she's on the grounds, but she's not in the building. Marrow sees a harrowing sight. The mansion is smoldering in the moonlight, with Sentinel forces patrolling the area. Remember, of course, Sentinel forces doesn't just mean Sentinels, it can be troops and authorities and things like that. So she approaches cautiously. It's dark. She approaches cautiously, and she discovers, almost trips over maybe, a mortally wounded young man who pleads with her. Resistance, get this to the... And he hands her a small diskette before expiring. Marrow pockets it, and seeing that the Sentinel forces are leaving the area, they're moving away, she decides to go and investigate the ruined mansion. And I think here also we would have visuals of her walking through rooms, maybe even do one of those things where, I'm trying to think of, was it the one where she's in the painting, or in Sanctuary with the painting? Anyway, the idea is like she's seeing the ruins of something that she knows what it looks like, at least parts of it. So it might be neat to see like ghostly images of how things used to look nice as she's walking through the ruined versions, maybe having some memories play out and that sort of thing. But as she's walking through these ruins, suddenly something bursts from beneath the ground, comes up out of the ground. And so I made this NPC, this minor NPC, the Sentinel Sweeper, which is a D8 minor NPC. It has Mutant Hunter and Specialized. It has Close Quarter Weapons D8, Armor Plating D8, and Reflexes D8. But it also has Fear Darts, which is you step up the effect die when creating or stepping up fear-related complications or emotional stress. and then of course combat expert and menace master. So the idea here is it's almost like a something that they leave behind. The Sentinel forces would leave behind as a rear guard / trap for anybody who returns to the scene. You know, whatever, you know, we know there's scavengers. Scavenging is a big part of this setting, and so this would be kind of like an ambush for them. And I kind of imagined the Imperial probe droid from the one that you see on Hoth on was it episode 7? Episode no 4, 5, 6, 5. Episode 5. Something like that, but more, or like a Squiddy from Matrix, something along those lines. But of course, Sentinelized, so probably some bulky armor plating, but not too bulky because it's reflexes. It's smaller, it's quicker. It's not a full size Sentinel. It's, you know, approximately human sized. And I didn't put flight on there, but I assume it kind of like hovers, or maybe it's more like a spider. Yeah, let's do that, like with multiple legs. Yeah, I like that. So like multiple Sentinel spidery legs. Like the what were they called? Spider Slayers in the comics, right? That they sent after Spider-Man. Anyway, okay, so that's that. We've got all of her stuff, which I didn't change. I didn't spend any of the XP. So we're going to start right off in the scene. So that happens, and because it is an ambush, I think it's fair to let the Sentinel Sweeper go first. And I think because the Sentinel Sweeper is going first, and because it is primarily designed around this idea of keeping people away rather than necessarily like battle, I think we're going to take advantage of the fear darts here. So the Sentinel is actually going to just fire like an array, not just one, but like a trio of a burst fire of these little feared toxin dart things at Marrow. And so we're going to throw a pool together for that. So it's going to be a D8. And then, is the D8 there? I never remember if the D8 is supposed to be part of their thing. I think it is. It's like their specialization, right? Because they don't have like an affiliation die or anything. So yeah, so they get a D8 no matter what. And then also they have Mutant Hunter and Specialized. I think Specialized fits here. And this would be the close quarter weapons, I think. No, you know, let's do reflexes. I mean, it's still a D8, but let's describe it as being this quick move. That's probably more accurate to the scene. So we're going to step up our effect die because we're going to be dealing emotional stress here. But we're going to do Menace Master. Oh, wow. All right, well, so that's not bad. It's a 15 with a D4. But it's also 2 opportunities. So the question is, does Marrow already want to spend her plot point to get a stunt? Sure. So we'll give her a stunt die. And then Marrow's reaction roll. She is alone. And I think Morlock X-Man as a D4. Or she is here because she is those things. And that gets her a plot point back. Agility, I think, is the proper response to a reflex-based attack. Nothing for the SFX. Combat expert, because again, it's dodging. Yeah. Yikes. So she definitely fails. So the question becomes, how badly do we want her to fail? Let's say badly. So let's do Marrow's reaction total is 7 with D8 effect. So she's going to take D4, but it actually steps up because 15 is a heroic success for the Sentinel. So it's going to be a D6 E-stress. So we will get a D6, but emotional stress. So the reaction here then is she kind of like tries to dodge out of the way and probably is somewhat successful. Oh, but she rolled a 1, so let's give her another plot point. Whoa. Can I? That doesn't work, so we'll just get rid of it. Copy it. I always forget I can just use Control C. All right. What are you doing? I will say once again that I have a broken mouse. So she got a plot point from the opportunity. She did a plot point because she chose to do the D4. Oh, and it was on the D4. So yeah. Okay, so that's fine. What was I saying? Oh, so some of the darts probably hit the brick, but one of them hits and sinks in and injects this toxin, fear toxin, into her, and all of a sudden she is like abnormally scared. And maybe even if we're going with the visions route, maybe things start to look wobbly and sort of over exaggerated. Scarecrow from the Batman movie, he has that fear toxin. I think that is in some ways a really good visual representation of fear. It's hard to show fear. It's easy to feel fear, but fear is something that can be different for everyone. So I think for her in the moment, it's just this overwhelming dread, but it's just creeping in, right? Like she's starting to second guess herself. She's starting to wonder, are the Sentinels going to be coming back? It was so stupid to come here, and this sort of thing. And now it's her turn to act. And what is she going to do? I think she's going to try to push through the fear. She probably says something too, right? Like, hate is the engine, I'm the machine. Feels like it's going to fit, but what is it that she says? What do you think she's going to say? Something like, you don't, it's probably something like, you don't belong here. In her fear, it's probably not even particularly witty. It's just like, you don't belong here, and kind of like pushes through the fear for a minute and tries to get the upper hand. And so she's just going to maybe pull out a dagger and just go for like a lunge, like just to try to stab it. Rips off one of her bone spurs, not bone spurs. You know what I'm talking about, the protrusions, or a bone dagger. And so hate is the engine, I'm the machine. I think we'll go with that as a D8. I think that's helping her. I don't think the stunt die yet. Bad to the bone, enhanced senses. So maybe it's the agility again. Well, actually, she's pushing through the fear, and it's a toxin. So let's go superhuman stamina. And Berserk, add a die from the Doom pool. Step up the Doom die by 1 for each action and return it to the Doom pool when you're done. Oh, I didn't step up the die earlier. I bought her die. I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do Berserk. So I'm going to give her an extra D6, and then we'll change one of those D6s into a... Oh, actually, I could do it with the 8, right? Well, no, that's fine. Step up to 6. Doesn't have to be the lowest one, though. It could be any die from the... and this is Combat Expert. So it's an okay pool. Okay, so we will buy that. So my mouse sometimes just likes to click 2 or 3 times when I click once, which is just really annoying. But it's only sometimes, and it doesn't... It feels like it's some programs and applications and not others. And then like it could be 6 months again and I'll be fine. And then it'll start doing it again. I don't really understand what it is that's going on. I should probably just buy new ones, but I don't want to. All right, so she got a plot point for that. Now, what can she do for a total? Wow, we just got plot points. So I like the D10 as my effect die. So if we add the 6 and the 5, that is only an 11. But adding in a 2 feels so cheap. But it might be worth it. Because 11 is not. Let's do it. Let's spend a plot point. And we'll do the 6, the 5, and the 2. So Marrow's action total is 13 with D10 effects for stress on Sentinel. Yeah, I like that. And then they will react. I'm not sure that there's 1d8. I'm not sure that there's much here. I mean, it's going to attempt to dodge, but I don't think it's going to be very successful. It's going to be relying mostly on the armor plating. It is a mutant hunter. So we will go with D8 for that. Armor plating D8. And the combat expert D8. And Marrow's stress. Yep. Oof. Okay. I'm not going to buy the stunt die. But they can easily be a 13, right? If I spend 2 dice for it. I can do a 6 and a 5 is 11. Spend Doom dice, I can be okay. Let's do it. I don't normally like to do this, but I'm going to do it. So we will add the 5, the 6, and the 5. So Sentinel reaction total 16 with D6. Sentinel is fine. And you know what? I'll spend another D8 to counterattack with the D6 to step up the emotional with D8. And that is basically, you know, I think maybe it works. Like she stabs down and it bites into the armor. But maybe there's like a counter, like an electric field or some kind of defense thing, or it doesn't really seem to stop it, and now her dagger is stuck in the Sentinel. Yeah. So she succeeded in doing what she wanted, but it was useless, which I think really kind of plays on this emotional fear that she's now feeling like, oh my gosh, I can't beat this one. Yeah. Probably not the first X-Men to struggle battling Sentinels at this location. All right, so let's reset. Very tiny Doom pool. We'll work on that. I think immediately, though, we will start using the close quarter weapons. And maybe this will be to, like, now that Marrow is in close range, the Sentinel has, like, little proby arms with, like, spikes and daggers and things like that, you know, sharp pointy bits that it's just going to try to kind of wave. And maybe like a Sentinels have these like tentacle coil things that come out of their palms, so maybe this is one of those that kind of comes out like a Dr. Octopus arm. Yeah. So D8 for that. I'm going to remember to throw in the D8 stress on Marrow. Specialized, it's definitely specialized. That's going here. Close quarter weapons and combat expert. Ooh, Marrow, this does not look good, man. All right, so Sentinel action total is, if we add the 8 and the 6, that's 15. Let's do it. Let's throw in the other. We have an empty Doom pool, folks. So we're going to add in the 7, the 8, and the 6. And then use a D8 as an effect die. So 7 and 8 is 15, plus 6 is 21, with D8 effect. Physical stress. No, we'll keep going emotional stress. Only because, it is physical in the sense of it is a physical attack, but I think the idea is it's scary and playing on Marrow's fears. She could spend a plot point to redefine it as mental or physical. That is a thing you can do in MHR. All right, her reactive role is solo. I think she's just going to be trying to like dodge stuff, right? So X Morlock, X-Man, emotionally mature, maybe the X ruins. So maybe it's the X ruins at midnight. And it's a D4. Yeah. She's like cornered. Maybe the two of them are in this situation. Like in my mind's eye, I imagine there's like corners, parts of walls still standing, and she's cornered for a second and maybe can't like dodge out of the way. Yeah. So D4 and then get the thing, and then agility and combat expert. think she's gonna get hit again. 21. I can do 7, 7, and 8. Which would give me enough. That would actually be 22. Yeah. I'll have to spend a plot point. So Marrow's reaction total is 22 with D4 effect. She's fine. So I think she dodges the attack, but now it's her turn to try to make the most of it. So she is going to lunge again. Maybe she's just going to lunge for the dagger maybe it's still sticking in the sentinel, and she's just going to lunge for it again and try to drag it like across the sort of hull of the sentinel and try to really do more damage. Or maybe she pulls out another dagger and she hits it right next to the other one, like more or less in the same spot. Yeah, that sounds cool. Hate is the engine, I am the machine. D8. This feels like a strength. Berserk. Well, we don't have a die from the Doom pool, so we can't do Berserk. But I guess we could add a D6. Or, well, I guess we would be adding a D4. No, because you only add dice as D6s to the... Oh, I bet we could use that. Well, no, it says add a die from the Doom pool, so I think that's out. Add a D6 to your dice pool for an attack action and step back the highest die by 1. Step of physical stress inflicted by 1. Second wind. Let's try dangerous. Combat expert. So we're going to step back the highest die in the pool. So that is a 10. So it's actually going to be D8. Yeah, because it's supposed to be largest. The language in MHR is sometimes wonky. But we're going to step up the physical, or the effect. All right. Well, we can do 11 and 4 is 15. So let's spend a plot point. Do 15 with D8 effects for physical stress on the center. Oh wait, I don't know what the reaction. I have to roll first. I'm not sure that it's going to be able to do a whole lot here. Probably specialized. Why am I writing what I'm saying? A D4. Let's get a die back in the Doom pool. Maybe the specialization doesn't account for the toxin not having worked fully yet. Armor plating and combat expert. And Marrow's D8 stress. Okay. We do an 8 and a 3. But that is not enough. So let's do the 8 and the 2. For 10. With D8 effect, it takes D10 damage. So I'm just choosing it because I feel like this should be a moment that kind of works, and I'm purposely choosing a lower total to make it a heroic success for. So now so I think she stabs in this other dagger and then grabs the other dagger. Ooh, and then maybe she rips them in opposite directions and it just shears off an entire like wing, so to speak, like half of the sentinel, and then now it's just like open and exposed. And maybe it starts garbling some language like critical systems failure, that kind of thing. Sentinels are always talking. And let's have Marrow drive the point home and have her go next. Oh, don't forget the bone hand. Yeah, I think that is healed at this point. And so she's just going to essentially, now that she's got 2 daggers, she's just sheared off half of the sentinel, and she's just going to like crush, like pincher move with her 2 hands, the 2 daggers through the head, or the approximate head of this little sentinel sweeper, just trying to like stab right into its processor. So we're going to go with 8 is the engine, I am the machine. And we're going to use the stunt die. And we're going to use Berserk. So we're going to take that D6. It's going to become 8. Second win, combat expert. Okay. All right. We have 1 plot point. So we can do 16. Okay. That's not bad. Oh, and you know what? I didn't include the Sentinel's stress. Well, we'll buy it. And we'll step up the lowest die in the doom. Why are you doing this to me? Step up the lowest die. It's actually going to be 10. All right. But that doesn't affect our ability to do a 16. So Marrow's, whoops. Marrow's action total 16 with D10 effect. Then the Sentinel's reaction roll. So it's going to add Marrow's stress plus the D8 that it normally gets, plus D8 Mutant Hunter. Is that what we want? Sure. Plus armor plating, combat expert. So I can do an 11. But I can also do 14, which is still not enough. And whether it's a heroic success or not for Marrow, it means that the Sentinel is going to get bumped up to D12. So it is very badly injured. No matter what. So I won't bother with spending the Doom die. It's just going to be the 11 with 8. And now it has a final chance to do something. Do we want it to explode? I think we do. Actually, exploding works well for kind of my vision of the ending, so let's do that. So it's going to push its own stress and try to do as much damage as it can. So it gets a 1d8 for Marrow's stress, 1d8 for itself, plus specialized. Let's go specialized d8. And we're going to add the 1d12 for its own stress, plus 1d8 for its weapons. And fear darts don't matter, but Menace Master, maybe it starts a countdown, right? But the countdown is glitchy, and so it's like final weapon system, Omega weapon system online, activation, have a pleasant day, like some sort of like off-brand like voice, have a pleasant day, and then like Predator. Oh. All right, well, that is a big total. I don't know what Marrow's going to do about that, but that's all right. I think we can make it. So Sentinel action total is going to be, I mean, I got to spend this last Doom die, right? Won't be able to use it for Berserk, though. That's okay. I can't use it Berserk on a reaction roll anymore. So we're going to add the 11 and the 2 5s. 21 with D8 effect for physical stress. I'm just gonna say stress. Marrow. I think actually it might explode in like the biggest part of his explosion is the toxin gas. So like a big fear cloud and stress on Marrow. All right, so her reaction roll is 1d10 plus the d12. It's on the Sentinel, even though now it is for purposely blowing itself up. Hate is the engine, I am the machine. I think that's such a perfect one for fighting Sentinels. And she's solo. Yeah, I did solo already. Okay. Enhanced, maybe. So if it's the fear gas, let's do stamina. Maybe it will help. And then let's do Menace Master. So what does it look like? So the Sentinel is like going into this final solution thing, and it's kind of exploding. But of course, it has these canisters or these fear dart toxin things. And so like the bulk of its explosion, it's not like a nuclear explosion, right? It's just like a final, sort of fragmentation grenade kind of thing. But the darts and the toxin would go everywhere. And so maybe the Marrow's reaction roll to it is essentially, it's not going to take her out, but I think it's going to be like, it's probably not going to take her. She's going to essentially try to like fight through the fear. Yeah. What would she envision in this moment? She's having like flashback. In the danger room. Maybe her fight with Wolverine in the danger room. Maybe when the Sentinel goes off, like when it does its alarm, maybe there's this boo like beep that reminds her of Wolverine going into berserk mode when she fights him in the comics. I'm trying to tie it in too much. I get cool pictures in my head. And she rolled an 11 on her D12. Very good. So then this is not an issue for her. So Marrow's reaction total, we can easily do 18, and we can spend a plot point to make it, what would that be, 25? 25 with D10 effects, and then maybe we spend the other plot point to kick it in the face. Sentinel is blowed up. So I think it does that, and the darts stick into her skin, and she's like struggling for a moment in a daze, and then she just wrenches them out and throws them down. And maybe this is what she says. Maybe she says something like, maybe she just repeats this to herself like a mantra. Hate is the engine, I am the machine. Hate is the engine, I am the machine. And she's like able to overcome her fear in the moment. That's kind of cool. So the sweeper's death throws, as it kind of rattles and explodes and does this, the darts go out and everything. And there's a bit of a concussion wave. It dislodges some of the debris, and it knocks loose some bricks. And an aged and well-worked, or well-worn, I should have said, I mistyped there, it should have been a well-worn journal, falls down to Marrow's feet. And I think we see a shot of it, and it's there, and maybe some of those empty fear darts are on the ground, and things like it, this is a moment. She picks it up and she looks inside. It's just plain leather. And she opens the plain leather cover, and sort of pinned inside of the paperclip is a faded photo of a redhead that, if you have ever read any X-Men ever, you probably know who it is. And the first entry on the opposite page, or on the first page on the right, it starts with, I miss you, Red. Healing has been hard. My sight is back, and Hank says my eyes are functionally perfectly normal, but I don't need the visor anymore. Power is gone. We don't know if it'll ever come back. And I think that's like all we can see on that page, in that panel, which I'm excited about because it's a callback to the Mythicals series, right? So this timeline that Marrow is in is the timeline where the Mythicals story took place, our little Mythicals series. And I think that's actually, there's part of me that wants to continue on with Marrow, even just in this moment. But usually I know that that's when I get too out on the cliff, so to speak, from a muse standpoint. And so I just have to let the moment rest. And so I think that's what we do. And that's where we end. And I don't think it means anything really yet to Marrow, other than what it obviously says, but to us as the reader, we begin to sort of start to piece these things together. And I will share with you, if you're still, for the people who are still watching these videos, I will share with you that if you'll recall, the there were what, 2 or 3 villains in the Mythical series who like were vaporized or appeared to vaporize. And I haven't forgotten that. And I feel like even at the time, I was like, maybe they're in another dimension or something. And I'm wondering if I want to do something with them. Like coming into this next, like, so the next leg of Marrow's journey ties even more to that past. But then maybe the next thing we do we go back to Mythicals? Do we tell another couple stories in the Mythicals setting? I don't know. I'm very open to suggestions. In my mind, I also have been toying with another build entirely, not using MHR, but using Cortex, so very similar, but a build more tailored to a different story altogether, not a Marvel story, and one loosely centered on the Fallout franchise. I watched the show. It had good points and bad points. I'm familiar with. I've played all of the game. Yeah, I've played all of the games to varying degrees, and I think I have the most experience with New Vegas, so I would probably center it more in that vibe. Fallout 4 does some things. There are some really cool things about Fallout 4, and then there's some things that I just don't like at all. And I think that is generally, I think that's the review of Fallout 4 for most people. Anyway, so I think we could do a really cool Fallout story, but again, it would be sort of vignettes like this, where it's just a few episodes and then it's done. And so I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to do that. That might still need some time to brew. But maybe we go back to the Mythicals. Maybe we try something else entirely, you know, an entirely different Marvel story. I do have the Civil War book, and as I've mentioned before, and I could try to work through that too in this solo fashion. So we'll see. If you have any thoughts, if you have any comments, suggestions, throw them down in the comments. I'm pretty sure at this point that I'm not missing much, but it's very possible that I've missed something. So let me know if you saw that as well. If you have any ideas for future videos, that's always welcome too. Thanks so much for watching. Excelsior.